This is episode 102 of the Battle of Ohio podcast. The Bengals have an insane amount of cap space to run it back with this offseason. We're going to talk a little bit about what they can do with all of that cap space and all of that potential to really build off of what they started last year. The Browns are starting to fall back into that cycle of drama and, that really familiar, not so great feeling that a lot of Browns fans have kind of been used to over the years, and they are heading into a really critical offseason. So I've got a couple of pieces of advice, personally for the Browns fans on that one. Well, not so much the Browns fans, but for the Browns organization. Finally, the Steelers sound like they're sticking with Mason Rudolph in 2022. Because why, Thomas?
The Pittsburgh still sucks.
Because the Steelers still suck. That's right.
I basically two words you're saying. The minute you said they're going to stick with Mason Rudolph, I started giggling.
That's good stuff.
Welcome to the Battle of Ohio podcast, where we follow the revival of the historic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns.
Anyway, I don't know if you've seen, but Sergei had a pretty epic rant about Baker Mayfield.
I did not know.
No, he went off. So watch that. Watch our friend Sergei, who said that California is a problem. He was a great guest.
Well, that was definitely a solid take, I believe. But anyway, Thomas, why don't you let me know what you're drinking tonight?
Hey, I'm just drinking some H2O, some agua. Today it's pure water. It's not just any water. It's pure water. That water be pure.
Hell yeah.
I partied way too much this weekend on All-Star Weekend. The All-Star Weekend was in Cleveland, and it was phenomenal.
There you go. We haven't done the beer part in quite a few episodes, but I'm gonna bring it back because it's the off season, and why the hell not? I don't give a shit. So I am going to be drinking apparently the only beer I have left in my fridge, which is a Saison DuPont. Okay, that sounds fancy. So it's a Saison DuPont. It's a Belgian farmhouse ale, I guess. I don't know. Sounds fancy. See if it's any good. That's pretty good. It's pretty good, yeah.
How good is it?
Definitely an ale. That's definitely an ale. It's definitely got that. It's definitely got that richness that you get from an ale, but it almost like it's got like this. And I'm not very articulate when it comes to describing flavors. I'm not some food YouTuber, but it's almost got like this kind of like cola like back taste to it, like doesn't taste like cola, but it tastes like the aftertaste of cola. But it's an ale. It's really confusing.
Hey, ales are the shit, bro.
That's really crisp, though. I'll tell you that.
How crisp is it?
Crisp like a cosmic crisp apple. Except it doesn't taste like an apple at all. Anyway, let's go. Let's get started with these Browns, Thomas. So Jarvis Landry has been a pretty heavy topic of discussion for Browns fans lately, and it seems like Browns fans are kind of torn on whether or not they want to bring him back. What's your opinion on that, dude? Should they bring Jarvis Landry back?
Well, yeah, they should bring Jarvis Landry back. Who's gonna play receiver for us? Jesus? I
mean, maybe.
Yeah, we should bring Jarvis Landry back. Yeah. You even say he want to come back. I think he pleaded his case. I mean, wait, hold up. I gotta stay consistent here, man. I gotta stay consistent. I said that, look, I think Baker Mayfield, playing one of the things that was against his plan. The reason why he didn't play so well is because he was hurt. I gotta use that same energy for Jarvis. Like Jarvis was hurt, man. He was playing his whole season hurt, man. Like I can't get mad at him for playing hurt and not succeeding. Mhm. He's not. I mean, he's not old. He's not young, but he's not old anymore. I mean, he's been consistent. He's been our best receiver year in year out. He's been Mr. Reliable. I can't get mad at Jarvis. Nah. Yeah, I want Jarvis back. I think it would be a mistake to get rid of him.
When I logged into Twitter this morning, the first thing I saw was Jarvis Landry sent out a tweet that said, in all caps, "I gave everything. And it seemed like a lot of Browns fans were like interpreting that as like the Browns told him that they aren't bringing him back, and he's getting upset about that. And I honestly, man, like I think people read way too much into tweets. Like, I mean, who knows what the hell he was talking about in the first place? And I cannot see why it necessarily means that the Browns are not bringing Jarvis Landry back. That's kind of a ridiculous take, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like I think that the common sentiment is that he's probably going to be gone, and that really freaking sucks. I don't want Jarvis Landry to go. But it just
y'all better draft a receiver then.
We better, but like I just gotta feel like it's just the same old Browns feeling to me, man. Because like we got this fan base that's turning against this quarterback, and like we know, me and you know what's on the other side of Baker Mayfield. Like and I keep on saying, people are like, yeah, like you all know what's on the other side of Baker Mayfield. Like you like it's not smart to get rid of this guy. It's like it's just not smart to get rid of him. Maybe you should let him get healthy so he can do what he needs to do.
Well, you know, I will say, Thomas, I understand that thought process, but at the same time, that's what a lot of like old school Bengals fans said about like getting rid of Marvin Lewis. They said, you know, we know what's on the other side of Marvin Lewis because look at the way this team was before Marvin Lewis got here. But I will say that the difference there was the Bengals had grown a lot as a franchise since Marvin Lewis came to Cincinnati. So, while I understand the trepidation, but I don't think the Browns should move on from Baker Mayfield. First of all, I think that would be the wrong move. But I will say, if they do, and they do find a better option, that's not necessarily a bad thing because perhaps the Browns are, different than the team that Baker Mayfield came to, 5 years ago.
Well, no, I mean that's my whole point is that like I honestly don't think Baker Mayfield is that bad. And like I got this eerie feeling we get rid of this man, he's gonna go somewhere else, he's gonna light it up, and it's not like
possible.
And I don't think people in Cleveland. I think people in Cleveland. One thing I think that's gonna hold Baker Mayfield back, and a lot of players in Cleveland back, is that there's so much dysfunction with this team that I think that it makes athletes worse. And it have been proven. Players are coming to Cleveland are good before they come to Cleveland are horrible, and leaving Cleveland are good again somehow. So like, I'm really trying to figure out why aren't we making an argument about why the problems with our franchise? Like, we have problems with our franchise. Like it's a franchise thing. It's not a player thing at this point. So why are we going to get rid of Baker Mayfield and think it's going to fix our problems? Because I just don't think Baker Mayfield is the problem with the Browns. I think there are bigger problems on molecular level, and the way the organizations ran and all that stuff is a shit show, man.
Well, I do think that is the case, but
like that's the thing though. Like I don't. So like me personally, like people are saying that the Browns should go. The Browns are urged to get Carson Wentz. Like who's urging the Browns to get Carson? Like who the fuck is urging the Browns? And that's the shit that really pissed me off because like it's like the Brown organization is always influenced by outside voices, and like I hate that shit because like I don't think anybody ever knows what they're talking about. Nobody knows what they're talking about. Like don't take everybody's advice because everybody's advice is not good advice. Like it just isn't. So now people are here saying, oh yeah, go get Carson Wentz. Like, what the fuck? Why the fuck will we go get Carson Wentz? How is Carson Wentz gonna make us better? Like, how is Carson Wentz gonna make us better? Like, I really want people to really sit here and tell me how Carson Wentz, man who injured half his career, when he feels he's slightly above mediocre, how the hell our problem? And that's stuff that really pissed me off. Is that and why it just sounds like something they would do. It just sounds like something they do. And they would be week 6 and they'd be like, oh, well, turns out Carson Wentz didn't work. Oh, y'all the ones who fucking bitch Baker Mayfield for fucking Carson Wentz thinking they're gonna fix y'all problems. Maybe it's not Carson Wentz. Maybe it's not Baker Mayfield. Maybe the problem is the people up top running the organization.
Yep, and that actually leads, I think, perfectly into my advice for the Browns organization, which is just stop. Just stop it. Stop what you're doing. Stop this whole cycle of just. And I've said this for years, and I've said this on this podcast before, but you're ruining yourselves by just constantly shifting to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and you never take time to develop what you already have. Like, does Baker Mayfield have his flaws? Sure, but how long have y'all been looking for a quarterback? I mean, and part of the reason you've been looking for a quarterback this long is because you can't stick with one, because you find somebody who has a run of bad form and you just immediately toss them to the dogs. And I know Baker Mayfield isn't perfect, but the next guy isn't going to be perfect either. And you're going to have to, at some point, you're going to have to calm down and you're going to have to actually develop somebody instead of just expecting them to immediately be the greatest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Joe Burrow had to develop. If the Bengals treated Joe Burrow the way the Browns treat Baker Mayfield, then Joe Burrow would not have, because if you remember at the beginning of this year, Joe Burrow was having a lot of issues. He was struggling. He was throwing a lot of interceptions. He was, he wasn't confident in a lot of the throws that he was making because, he's readjusting to that knee. He was readjusting to NFL defenses and stuff like that. And if he was in Cleveland, I'm not sure Joe Burrow would have been given the trust to make it all the way to week 12 before he started actually making some amazing freaking plays all the time, consistently.
No, man, I just I completely agree with you. This fan base is getting toxic. A lot of people are talking about how toxic this fan base. I think the Browns are the most toxic fan base in sport. And I love my fans. I love the people I'm from. I know Philly has a good argument. I know Philly got a good argument. But Philly's toxicity, they're all united, and the people that hate, they all hate Ben Simmons. They all hate Carson Wentz. They all like Mick Foles. But Philly, they all have this common interest. Cleveland's literally started a war among their own fan base to the point where it's turned to politics. People are literally fighting themselves over this shit. This is ridiculous. This fan base is really, really, really toxic to the point where it's not even comfortable being a sports fan in this city anymore because it's a very toxic fan base. And it bleeds over to basketball now. Now you have this whole thing with the Cavs where people are like, do we want LeBron back or do we not want LeBron back? That's literally what's going on. But in football, what's going on in football, we're seeing with Browns fans and how divided Browns fans are, how toxic this is on the level of politics. It's phenomenal. I never seen anything like this, but all that passion comes with idiocy because, there are 4 out of 5 people in the world stupid anyway. So, at least 4 out of 5. So, you add that with some passion, you have to put the passion and you get what the Browns fan base is.
That's fair.
Clip that and wrote. Don't fucking put a clip on there like Thomas said, ass stupidity, call the Browns fans stupid. I know how y'all do. I know how y'all do over there in the fucking what's it called network?
ATV network.
Network. Yeah, Thomas said Case Keenum is He's
That's
biggest fan of Case Keenum. How the hell?
no, that's all me. ATB Network didn't tell me to do that. I just decided to make that.
And then they're gonna retweet it like Thomas J. Starger. Well, like the only time they ever mentioned me, Thomas J. Starger said that he's the biggest Case Keenum fan. Like, oh fuck you, ATB. Like, come on, man.
But you know what, Thomas? You technically did say that, and the whole point of that episode.
I know.
The whole point of that episode.
Y'all gotta get me on a technicality.
Well, don't say it then. and hey, you know what? It got a lot of people to tune in and listen to your actual point. So you're welcome.
Whatever.
Okay. All right. So let's go. I guess let's go ahead and move on. It's as good a time as any after all that mess. You know who's not a mess is the Cincinnati Bengals. Believe it or not, for the first time in a long time, the Cincinnati Bengals are not a mess, and they have got a real opportunity here to capitalize on what was just an incredible season where they met pretty much every single one of my expectations going into it, which never happens. You never go into a season having well, they could do this, and this if they just do this, and this. And they actually did all that, Thomas. And then they actually did everything that I thought that they were capable of doing. I was like, holy crap. It's so rare that they act that you say that a team can do this if they only get their heads out of their asses, and then they actually do it. So they have a real opportunity right now to build off of that and to run it back with most of the same guys. We're going to need to replace a few guys here and there. I've got a breakdown of my initial thoughts on the offseason coming out. That's going to be my next main video on my YouTube channel, so you might want to go check that out. But just a little bit of a preview. I think it'd be a really good idea to the Bengals got what was it, an estimated $57 million in cap space. So once you pay Trey Waynes, not Trey Waynes, once you cut Trey Waynes and then you pay Jesse Bates, and then you bring back a couple other guys, and then focus the vast majority of your resources on absolutely overhauling that offensive line. I'm talking bring in Teron Armstead, but you don't stop there, man. I'm talking about bringing in, Lincoln Tomlinson, maybe Orlando Brown, bringing a guy like Jacob Martin just to kind of solidify that extra edge rusher type of, somebody who can really kind of, sorry, my brain's not here. Pressure the quarterback from the defensive tackle spot, a nice pass rush up the middle, BJ Hill's done a pretty decent job, but I think you want somebody a little bit more, pass rush centric to kind of be in there as at the very least kind of like a rotational kind of piece. Bring in Ben Jones to shore up the center position, and then, Trey Hopkins can be your backup. And you feel really good if Trey Hopkins is the backup. The starter, you're kind of he's a little inconsistent. I'm not really sure what's going on, but as the backup, you're I can handle that. You bring in you bring in, let's say, like I said, Teron Armstead or Orlando Brown or somebody like that. You bring them in to be the left tackle, and then Jonah Williams, you can move him over to right tackle. And then you've solved both tackle thing. You solved both tackle positions. And, Jonah Williams is a fairly good left tackle, but he's not a great left tackle. He looks great because every single other player on the Bengals offensive line has been absolute garbage. So if you move Jonah Williams over to right tackle, I think that utilizes his skill set a little bit better. And then you get somebody, like I said, great, like Orlando Brown or Teron Armstead to come in and shore up that left tackle position. And then suddenly, if you re-sign Riley Reif, you can push him in to guard on the inside and, shore that up a little bit. Maybe we're bringing back Quentin Spain. Laken Tomlinson, like I said, would be a good guy to bring in at guard. And then, like I said, Ben Jones at center. And then suddenly, this is a Super Bowl winning roster. And if the Bengals do that, Thomas, I am telling you right now that the Bengals will win the Super Bowl next year if they overhaul their offensive line in free agency. And then, I'm not sure how much money you have. Maybe you have some money to go get like a cornerback or two. Probably no more starters after you put all that kind of money into the in the offensive line. But then you have the opportunity to do something you didn't last year, and that's invest in the defense in a draft perspective. So you're doing the opposite of what you did last year. You invest in the offense in free agency, and you invest in the defense in the draft. And I think if they do that, they will win the Super Bowl next year.
Okay. Okay. I mean, honestly, like, if you had an offensive line, y'all would beat. If you had a better offensive line, y'all would beat the Rams.
Well, that's kind of my thought process. This was a Bengals team that wasn't supposed to do anything this year, that made it to the Super Bowl and came within 2 seconds at the end, Thomas. If Joe Burrow had 2 extra seconds to find Jamar Chase, we would have won the Super Bowl. And so that's all I'm saying. If they spend a ton of money on the offensive line, I guarantee you we probably win more games than we did this year. We might be the number 1 seed in the AFC this coming year. If we fix the offensive line.
He's a quarterback have a season.
Well, now, granted, I don't think the AFC is going to be as volatile this coming year as it was this year. So maybe they don't get the number 1 seed, but I definitely think they win more games this year.
No, I think
it's the offensive line.
I think the Bengals are in the AFC next year. Probably want to rebound too next year, if I'm being real. I think Kevin Stefanski's too good of a coach. By the way, there's people on our fan base who want Kevin Stefanski fired because he don't yell enough. Like y'all know, like this is an off season. We still only finished 1 game below 500. It's not like we had a horrible season, y'all. Just chill. Y'all motherfuckers thought we won the Super Bowl this year.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think Kevin Stefanski did anything worthy of being fired necessarily. That's a little ridiculous.
People are stupid. I mean, it's not like we were getting blown. I mean, every game Brown did was played 7 points. It wasn't like besides the Union game. It wasn't like they weren't like right there. It was literally like the last possession of the game, like they kept on the day. And it doesn't help when you have a quarterback who has a bum shoulder. And I don't think that he just forgot how to play. I just don't think that. I don't understand why people don't think it is a coincidence that his stats got worse after he got hurt. Like, I don't understand why you changing your opinion on somebody when they play through an injury. Like, I don't get that. Like, so like, oh, he shouldn't play. Like, okay, fine, he shouldn't have played. Fine, whatever. What do I got to do with his talent?
I kind of wonder if maybe Jesse Bates was playing with a little bit of injury this year. Because I mean, you notice that, like, I know there was some talk about how he was maybe playing a little distracted through most of the season because he had that contract extension, thing. And, maybe he wasn't playing up to his standards because he was, thinking about the money a little bit too much. But I wonder, was he maybe playing through a little bit of an injury too? Because, I mean, by the time they got to the postseason, that dude was on fire.
Sure.
You want to talk about a guy who absolutely earned every single penny that he's about to get paid, whether it be the Bengals signing him to like a long-term extension. And by the way, I've heard that the Bengals are close right now on a $14 million a year extension for Jesse Bates. So we'll see. We'll see if that actually turns out to bear fruit. But it was looking like there for a minute, Thomas, that the Bengals and Jesse Bates were not going to come to terms on a deal like that because Jesse Bates was not having a very good year. But like I said, the second the playoffs came in, if there was anybody who's like individually responsible for the Bengals making the Super Bowl, Jesse Bates is probably at least like, one of the top 5. So, I mean, maybe not making the playoffs. I think they made the playoffs in spite of Jesse Bates a lot of times this year. But from wild card round to the Super Bowl, Jesse Bates made a huge impact. So, I think the number I heard thrown around was 5 years, $70 million. Now, and now nothing is confirmed. By the way, this is just a source that I've heard saying that that's what the Bengals and Jesse Bates are currently basically kind of coming to a place on. And if that's the case, that's really good news because I think that's about $4 million a year short of what Jesse Bates was probably worth.
Wow.
I think I think Jesse Bates probably could have made the argument that he should be the highest paid safety in the league right now. And if he's going to take $14 million, that's actually a little bit of a deal.
He's really good. He's really good. If y'all get him on a deal or discount, go for it because like that's the hard part of our defense. Our defense look really good this year. I'm taking that defense. I would also do offensive line. I have receivers. Maybe some more pressure on the edge. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
By the way, there was something that's underrated. It's a relief that Joe Burrow didn't sustain a major injury during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he sprained his MCL, but it sounds like that's not going to be a big issue.
Sprained MCL, you have a whole off. Like I'd rather have a sprained MCL than a torn MCL. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, that's true. He's going to have to do a little bit of rehab, but he's going to be able to spend most of the offseason training, which is, like working on his craft rather than just getting back to health.
Yeah, that's a month rehab, man. He's fine. That's a month rehab on the beach. Or relaxing.
He's going to have a month of rehab and 5 months of getting better.
Yep. All right.
I mean, you saw how much he improved from year 1 to year 2 with zero time to like with his entire offseason was about recovering.
Oh yeah, he's a good quarterback.
Well, not only is he a great quarterback, but he's just he's the amount of attention he's able to put on his craft, regardless of everything else that's going on around him, is just remarkable.
I thought. I'm pretty serious talking about quarterback. I really do think that Baker Mayfield about to have a hell of a season next year. Like a really good fucking season next year. I'm just all for it right now. Because I just want to be right. Because what's gonna happen, he's gonna do good and all Cleveland fans will be like, you Baker, we always love you. Man, shut your ass up, man.
It depends on what the Browns put around him. That's the key. Like,
get on freaking receivers, man. Like he never I hear arguing all the time. People Baker needs everything. Like, I mean, like every single time somebody mentions all these great quarterbacks, they have these great receivers. Big up Nick Chubb. Like, I didn't know you're throwing at Nick Chubb. When I tell Nick Chubb to run a 45-yard out route, he ain't doing that shit. Like, I mean, like, you got these, like, he got no receivers, man. You have no receivers.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, if the Browns go into next year giving Baker Mayfield the same weapons that he's dealing with right now, he's not going to have a breakout season. I promise you that.
Give him something. Like, give him something to throw to, man. Like, it's a miracle that he had this season he had 2 years ago with the receivers that he had.
Yeah. Now, I mean, there's a pretty decent amount of wide receiver depth in this upcoming draft. So I think the Browns could realistically do a pretty good job of, maybe bring in a good free agent wide receiver, maybe bring in some solid draft picks at the position. I think the Browns certainly could go get some really good weapons for Baker Mayfield. But if they don't, I don't know how they're going to, function, honestly, offensively.
No, they wasn't a quarterback. I hate being a Browns fan. I think the worst part is just hear other Browns fans just talk stupidity. We should do this. Like, shut the fuck up. Just watch the cast. I can't deal with them. Carson Wentz, ladies and gentlemen, our favorite Carson Wentz. The guy who whiffed, who he lose to? The Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, Carson Wentz, you go to playoffs. All you gotta do is beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. The team is starting a rookie quarterback and fired their head coach for grinding, who got grinded on by a 23-year-old girl in a club in Ohio. That's the team that you lost to.
At the time, I believe 1 win Jacksonville Jaguars, wasn't it? They'd only won 1 game.
Something crazy like that. And I was supposed to get excited about that guy? Really? 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 I can't do it, man. I can't.
Well, he was almost MVP that 1 year.
Yeah. The Chiefs to go on to the next round of playoffs last year. Almost. We got one more stop. Maybe. He was hot.
Yeah, Joe Burrow almost had enough time to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. So like,
almost.
Man, yeah, I don't want Carson Wentz. I don't want Carson Wentz. He's worse, and like it's just so freaking frustrating hearing shove Carson Wentz down my throat. Like here, I want Carson Wentz to Baker Mayfield out of you. Like, you suck, Carson. Would I just be karma? I'm on this podcast for 2 straight years telling Carson Wentz how much he sucks, and he becomes my team's quarterback. You know how much I just hate myself if that happens, man.
That would be the ultimate sign that you should come be a Bengals fan, I think, Thomas.
Sign I'm in hell.
If Carson Wentz was the Browns quarterback, that would be
That's
special.
the word. Like, I do not want that man as my quarterback. Nah, man. I can't do it. I can't.
If it makes you feel better, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know. They're the Browns.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it would make sense for the Browns to do something like that, but I don't actually think it's going to happen.
I mean, like it's just like there are no options. Like run back bigger. Just run back bigger. Fine, you want to grab the quarterback, drive like a 3rd round quarterback and develop him on. Good point.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the state of the AFC North then. So obviously the probably the biggest news possibly in the entire NFL right now is the whole Brian Flores story going on with the Miami Dolphins and all that stuff. He has been hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers as a defensive assistant. So, I mean, he's going to be a defensive assistant to defensive coordinator Terrell Austin. So, I mean, like I know a lot of people are like, oh, Brian Flores is going to be coaching the Steelers. That's going to such a good thing. And I'm like, why? Like, I was one of the most vocal critics out there of Brian Flores as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Nobody was really as, like consistently. I don't know if I was like necessarily trying to hate on Brian Flores, but I definitely was consistently bringing up, like, what the hell is this guy doing? He's making all these, like, and has later come out kind of sense that maybe it wasn't all Brian Flores being, like, the problem there. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like I felt like Brian Flores was not nearly as good of a coach as he was getting credit for in Miami. And
I don't think that he's a bad coach. Go ahead.
I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm saying he was, like, in my opinion, at the time, I felt he was extremely overrated, and I thought he was making a lot of bad decisions. And so I mean, the hell? Stop it. Okay, my computer just went wonky. So, look, like, my perspective on Brian Flores is just simply like, he still needs to show me that he's got what it takes to be like a consistently good coach and, actually get what, the best out of his players and stuff like that.
Uh,
Honestly, I felt like the Dolphins had too much talent to be slept on the way that they were being slept on. And honestly, I felt like the Dolphins probably could have won more if Brian Flores wasn't so indecisive about his quarterback situation. It was honestly ridiculous, and I felt like he deserved to be fired at the time because of that indecisiveness with the quarterback situation. Now, obviously, going to coach defense in Pittsburgh, that's not going to be an issue. But at the same time, if he's got a player that he's got a problem with, is he going to do the same thing where he's just, going to refuse to develop the guy? And then the Steelers are suddenly developing the same problem that the Browns have, where they're just like not getting guys developed because the coaching staff can't get along with them. In the Browns' case, it's the front office, but still.
We look at it with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And then, Terrell Austin being the defensive coordinator, we saw how much of a disaster that was in Cincinnati. Now, I still think Terrell Austin is a good coach, but I don't know if Terrell Austin's the kind of guy who can really build something out of nothing. And right now in Pittsburgh, it's like you got TJ Watt and sometimes you got Minka Fitzpatrick, and that's really kind of about it. So what is Terrell Austin really going to be able to get out of this Pittsburgh Steelers defense? I don't know if they're going to be able to do a whole lot, especially if you got somebody like Brian Flores making, like who's kind of like in a, maybe not the defensive coach, but like, one of the more important defensive like voices in that system. And I mean, if he's going to be having trouble getting along with the players, how are they going to develop? I just don't. I'm just not really making the connection here. How this is like, such an amazingly great hire that you. I get he was a head coach, so maybe he's overqualified for the position, but that doesn't mean he's going to do a good job.
I think the Steelers defense is going to be a problem next year. But I don't think the Steelers are going to be a problem next year because I think the Steelers are going to have a lot of problems next year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think that he's the backup plan. So when they fire Mike Tomlin,
you think Brian Flores is the backup? But they're not going to fire Mike Tomlin, Thomas. Like, that's just not that's not how the Steelers work.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things there's a lot of ways a lot of people work and a lot of stuff a lot of people do out of reaction because a lot of stuff happens.
They don't typically do that, though.
I mean, a lot of people typically do a lot of things and they magically do a lot of stuff that they magically don't do because a lot of stuff happens.
So, you want to know something interesting about the odds for the AFC North next year?
I mean, a lot of odds be changing because a lot of things be happening to the odds to make the odds change as rapidly as they change.
Well, that's fair, but right now the odds for the way that the AFC North is expected to shape up next year.
Ravens won. Well, the Ravens won. They expect the Ravens. They probably expect the Ravens to win it because they're some big riders. And the Bengals 2, and they probably had the Browns in 3rd or 4th. And the Steelers finish 4th. In fact, I would even say they probably expect the Browns to finish last and the Steelers to finish 3rd. That's the way
you are 100% wrong on all of that.
Bro,
they got the odds makers have the Bengals as the 40% favorites. Plus 150 to win the AFC North next year. Okay, the Baltimore Ravens just behind them at plus 200.
Okay.
The Cleveland Browns are behind, but not like insanely behind, at plus 310. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers are just at according to the odds makers, the Pittsburgh Steelers are about to be an absolute wreck next year at plus 700.
Okay. Man, I mean, like I don't think the Ravens gonna be that good next year. I think next year is gonna be the year that what's his face fall off his cliff.
But he's a
Bengals,
Pro Bowl quarterback, Thomas,
yo
even
man,
though he didn't deserve to be.
worse than every year. Like it's gonna be so fun. People will be like, got already see the headlines already. What happened to Lamar Jackson? What happened to a phenom Lamar Jackson? Now he's had turnovers and fumbles and nearly can he be a championship quarterback? With all the money we gave to Lamar Jackson worth it. I do every single AFC North I do every single time we do the topic of AFC North. I'm always going in on Lamar Jackson. I'm always man. So yeah, definitely. I think it's going to go Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Steelers. I'm gonna go as far as say I think it's gonna go Bengals, Browns, Steelers, and Ravens. That's a little face out of the Ravens. Well, they are gonna help you here. All right, Steelers, Browns, or Bengals, Browns, Ravens, and Steelers. Yeah.
I think I'm pretty. I don't. It depends. Like, I mean, it could be. I think the Browns and the Ravens are pretty interchangeable because in both cases you've got a lot of big questions about next year. Like, can the Browns actually kind of recapture some of that swagger that they have? If they can, then yeah, maybe the Browns, be fighting for that wild card spot at number 2. But if not, then I mean the Ravens are probably going to default themselves to that number 2 spot in the AFC North. Now, I mean, I do agree. I mean, I just said that I think if the Bengals fix the offensive line, they win the Super Bowl. So obviously, I'm going to predict them to win the AFC North. And I do think, last year I predicted the Steelers to go. What was it like? I think 6-11 or it was. I think I said 3-14 or so. I said something ridiculously bad for the Steelers last year. I think that's still coming, Thomas. Now. Yeah. I mean, maybe it's this year. I don't know. But I mean, we'll do our We'll do our predictions for the season when the schedule comes out. But right now, the Steelers, they're just screaming awful year coming up. Like I cannot see any world, especially if Mason Rudolph is the quarterback. If Mason Rudolph's the quarterback, then I mean,
R.I.P. Pittsburgh.
I'm not saying 0-17.
All right,
because there's no way TJ Watt's going to let the Steelers go 0-17, but it's not going to be pretty.
R.I.P. Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's going to be fun for a few years if you're a hater of the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is a very easy thing to do if you are a normal, sane human being.
R.I.P. Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yo, all right. If I'm in real though, so the thing is though, is I honestly, I really need to see how Baker Mayfield bounce back. I really need Baker to bounce back, man. R.I.P. Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Well, not quite. We're like, all right. All right, I'll do R.I.P., but change the P from peace to pain. Rest in pain.
R.I.P. Pittsburgh.
I hope their fans suffer.
I like R.I.M. Rest in miserably. Rest miserably. Rest in miserably.
Rest in misery.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. It's my birthday. I was drinking a lot last night.
Okay. All right. Well, so it is a very clearly an off-season episode here. So we haven't even crossed the 45-minute mark, but regardless, I think that's probably going to do it for this episode of the Battle of Ohio podcast. As my computer just keeps continuing to kick me off of the screen. I think it's going to do it for this episode of Battle of Ohio podcast, unless you got anything else to say, Thomas.
I do get something to say.
All right, go ahead.
Carson Wentz, you suck.
Okay.
Don't you dare become a quarterback, dude. Don't you dare. I mean, you're probably a great person, a very nice soul. You know, yeah, you had a very genuine smile. That little Finland smile. You probably, you know, you probably could do. You probably really do, you know. But fuck you, dude. Don't come to Cleveland. Like, no. You suck. No. I don't care what anybody say. We want Carson Wentz. No, you don't. No, you do not want Carson Wentz. All right, I'm done. Nothing else.
Okay.
Get on my album, y'all. That's it.
All right. So, like I said, that's pretty much it for this episode, guys. You can always find more of what I do at Kyle Phelps92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/Phelps. This is the Battle of Ohio podcast. My YouTube channel, which is Kyle Phelps. Go check that out. Like I said, this week we're going to be putting out a interesting video on basically breaking down what I think be the best moves for the Bengals to make this offseason. And that's obviously it's the beginning of the Bengals offseason right now. So it's a very early kind of look into it, but at the same time, we made it all the way to the Super Bowl, so we didn't start talking about the offseason until just now. So, you know, it's like while other teams have already been at this for about a month, we're just now getting into it. So it's going to feel like it's going to come really quick. But yeah, so that's basically what the video I got coming out for this week. Also, as always, I'll post these Battle of Ohio podcast clips on the channel, and you can catch more of what Thomas does, who is over here at T_star94 on Twitter and Instagram, and on YouTube and TikTok. He's the Thomas J Network. And Thomas, you had to push your album back. When is that coming out?
Soon. It's not going to be like a pushback where Kanye pushes back like 2 months. It's going to be like literally, we just got to edit 1 or 2 songs here and there. So it's literally like really, really, really soon. We just got to like do some, probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks. All
right. Well, that is coming relatively soon, so keep an eye out for that. But that's all I got for this one, and that's all sounds like Thomas has got. So I will leave y'all with a hoo day.
Oh, wow.